Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. I'm Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy vet, certified doer and the legislative legislator for the House of Delegates 89th District. This is the morning dew for certified doers just like you. Wow. Um, Last week I took a little break off, just sort of needed some space, some clarity in the morning in my head. So I took that time and I hope that y'all take it too. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning, the real Antonio. Look, I've got a couple things to go through today. If you're not up on like what's happening, on the state politics wise, y'all, we ain't had a budget, and we just got called back to uh, we just got called back next week. So next week, y'all, I'm gonna be in Richmond. What does that even mean? What does that even mean? Next week, um, let's see if it cancel. Okay. Something's going on with the broadcast. So next week, I'm going to be in Richmond next Wednesday, and we should be actually voting on a budget. What that means is like, if you've been watching us along the way, right? You know that every year, and this is for us civically. So we know that every other year we have a 2-year budget. We create a budget in one year, we change it in another year, then create a new budget, then change it. Um, there absolutely was a surplus. So question was there a surplus? Hey, I heard long time no here. Um, there actually was a surplus, right? And so what's happened is that we are in a year of creating. What next year is a even year. So even years we create. So I'm up there 60 days, vice 45 days. So we are editing, excuse me, we're making amendments to last year's budget, if that makes any sense, right? Because we're still working on 2023's carryover into 2024. Um, we couldn't come to an agreement at the end of last session. So that meant that we had to straight up just figure it out. We left session without a budget. We did the bare minimum. We did the minimum things that we needed to do to make sure that the Commonwealth stayed whole. And for those of you guys, I'm streaming on my profile today because something's going on with my page or whatever. Um, so I'm going back next week because the House, the Senate, and the governor, the House and the Senate have finally come to an agreement on what we might want to see. The part of the reason why we didn't have a budget was because one side of the aisle wanted corporate tax cuts, one side of the aisle wanted education. You can guess, right? Wanted more money for education. I don't think we're still getting what we want to get, but we finally come to terms. Now, I have not read the budget, and I promise you, the budget bill. If I had I usually bring it with me. It's a thick one, right? But we have all these changes. There's specific things that I'm gonna be looking for as soon as it comes out that we read it, because we usually have to have 3 days before we vote on it. But I just don't. We're still waiting on the logistics of how that's going to work. But for sure, on the 6th, I will be in Richmond. So there you have it. There working at the Capitol. Number two, if you are in the Hampton Roads area, you'll know that this storm is pushing its way up. I was thinking about it the other day. We did nothing. We did nothing to prepare ourselves for a hurricane season. So I'm gonna just say this off top. I'm gonna say this off top. It's hurricane season, y'all. And if you know anything about Hampton Roads, particularly Norfolk, if you live in Norfolk, it was mad crazy. Our drainage it don't drain. It's like, we need to put some what is it? What's the stuff you put down the drain? The starts with a D. I can't think of it. We need some of that because it was crazy. And we got sea level rise, all the things. So just looking ahead of what could be, please just make sure you're prepared. I don't want none of y'all not able to get gas, looking for groceries or nothing. So just go ahead and stack up, get your batteries, get your things. Yes, you still hear my daggone smoke detector, because I still don't have a kitchen. So if y'all been with me for the past 2 months, my whole kitchen is in my dining room area. I have no access, so we're figuring that out. But I just want to encourage y'all, get prepared. That's all. Like, do what it do. That's it. You said, I think you don't bend too much on the governor fixes his stance on education and curriculum. Yeah. So that stuff is not in the budget. Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you that we've got some, he came to town this week and talking that talk, but that is not in the budget. We're talking about the money for support staff, money like our school systems are waiting on us. So there's a comment on Instagram from @Elderberry VA, who I haven't seen in so long, but I'm so grateful. That thank you. Don't bend too much on the governor's fixes his stance on education and curriculum. So there is obviously some ideology, fundamental difference between what we believe curriculum should and is, and what who parents are. That all the parents should. We should be co-parenting with our educators. We should be making. We should be building our village. And unfortunately, there's a faction of people that just want to conquer, conquest, and destroy, while keeping their own stuff whole. But we have a village mentality about education. Many hands make light works, community schools, all the things in between. I will say this past week, I've had a lot of conversations about policing and educators, and I just want to put this out front again for the umpteenth time. We're seeing a decrease in educators, right? Our seasoned educators are shifting from school to school to school to get away from one place to go to another. We're seeing that there are not a lot of people going into the teaching profession. On that same vein, with police officers, we are seeing that officers are shifting from department to department, and not a lot of people are coming into the profession. And those two professions have something deeply in common, is that no matter how you feel about whatever political party you're in, we have hyper politicized both of these spaces, right? Hyper politicized. And when you start politicizing these things, it forces people to pick a side, because we have a two-party system. So you either believe over here or you believe over here. And if you're somewhere in the middle, you still have to be on a side on one issue or nothing, because there's such polarizing things, and people don't want to be a part of that, right? Because what happens is no one wants to be a pawn in any one game, especially when you're doing something you love and you're called to serve. So these people are called to serve, but service doesn't mean abuse, right? Being of service doesn't mean being somebody's whipping boy. It doesn't matter who it is, whether it's the parents, the politics, or the people. That's what. And so until that change, I just don't foresee a whole lot of people jumping on board until we fundamentally and financially value these people who are called to serve. I don't think you're gonna get a lot of people coming in there to serve, right? Like, we got to take better care of folks in T-Way. But I am preparing for those interested. We are preparing our legislation for next year. We're starting our stakeholder meetings. This is the most opportune time. Sometimes we don't really know when to get involved in the process. And now is the time. Actually, the summer is the time to start interfacing with your money wise. If you're looking for money for a particular thing, the summertime is always the best time to start the conversations. This time of year, the August, September, October, that is the time to be like committed and going hard, because departments are starting to build their budgets. I was talking with folks in the state level department about what they're putting in their budget, if they could sort of get this thing in their budget. And if they can't get in the budget, is there any way that we can be helpful in putting in a budget amendment to make sure that they get what they need? So this is a time. Doesn't matter if it's state government or if it's local government. The ingredients are starting to be put in the cake. And the cake is going to go in the oven in December. And they're going to be talking about it, baking it all January. And then you're not even going to come in the process until April, May timeframe. You feel what I'm saying? So that's why I think it's really important for y'all to just really get in on that. This week, if you're in the Commonwealth, we started school. School actually started up this week, and I can tell you that the kids aren't all right. I mean, there are some really great things happening, but it was a very rough first day for us. Maybe a month before this, just putting this out there so that I want us to start looking at, like, uh, as the elders, doesn't matter what phase of life you are in. I know these teenagers can be challenging. I am a proud owner of a amazing 16-year-old senior that that challenges me on a daily basis. But when I'm in the neighborhood, because I still spend some time, I'm in my neighborhood. Even if I know the young people are not going to speak back, I say hello. I mean, I make sure they know I see you. I see you. Like I genuinely see you. So it is it is difficult for them right now. It is difficult for us dealing with them, but let's acknowledge that they exist with or without their attitudes. For the first time, I had to use the 988 number. Does anybody know what the 988 number? If you do, drop it in the chat. If you know what 988 is for, which is it's a resource. Um, um, yeah, it's a resource. So if you know what 988 is for, put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. So I had to call this number, right? I had to call this number, and it was really unfortunate. It was for a teenager. It was for a teenager in my school. I mean, in my neighborhood. And I will say that calling 988 was being able to see that resource used was uh, it was difficult. I had a teenager in my neighborhood that was preparing to uh, do harm to herself, right? Preparing to do harm to herself. Now, what made it less difficult is that if any of you guys have ever dealt with military folk or anything in the military, I am trained to act, and that means for us in the military, act means ask, care, and treat. Ask, care, and treat as it comes to mental health. So I know I am trained to, if I feel like someone is going to harm themselves or others, I know to do the direct ask. Are you thinking about harming yourself or others? What I recognize is getting to the why is that young people, and I'd love to have just a young person town hall about this, because it really sort of hit me as we look at what sort of resources we put into our school, right, at the state level with regards to mental health. And I listened to one of my colleagues in another city in the Commonwealth, the other night just say, are we putting the mental health resources into the schools? Is that this particular young lady, not only is life compounded by the fact that just they've lived in a different space than we have, but parents are having challenges. And if you are a child who has been through a divorce, right? Like my parents were back and forth up until I was in fourth grade. And I think they finally divorced in fourth grade when I was in fourth or fifth grade. Like, that is also hard. So you compound our challenges plus their access to the world is real. But I'm not going to say I've never felt so vulnerable, but it was a very vulnerable moment for me too, being in a situation where a 7-year-old knocks on your door asking you to help because her big sister is has a knife and is walking around. Anyway, just the situation. So I still called 988. And if you don't know, nobody dropped it in the comments. 988 is the mental health resource hotline. And they did the same thing. I had already done a lot of what they would have walked me through to do. I did put another adult, a professional, in the situation and allow her to say, would she be willing to go to the hospital? We dropped her and her family off at CHKD. And I broke down. I'm gonna be honest. I fell apart. I fell apart after that. But I think about that young lady holding all of this in her hands, and I've actually been through it with my own child too, and then putting them back in the system, to which we just talked about earlier. We have a system that does not necessarily have people that want to be walking into this. The tears that I dealt with on the first day of school were from um, mostly middle schoolers. I had two, I don't want to call them crybabies, but they was crying. My babies was crying, but it was because they said, Miss Jackie, they just yell and yell and yell. The teachers are just yelling. And I made a pact. So if you got young folks in your life, I made a pact with them that, hey, what we're going to do is we're going to give school 2 weeks. We've got a short week this week. We got a short week next week. Let's give school 2 weeks. And before we start being really upset about it, have your tears. Their tears are valid. But let's keep an eye on them. Let's make sure that they feel seen. So if you know young folks in your life, let's just make it a point to make sure that they feel seen. Can we do that? I think as doers, because we get up and we get at it as certified doers, we can ensure that at the very minimum, our young people get seen. And again, I want to reiterate that these resources, 988 especially, when I used it, I appreciate the professionalism that I got on the phone call for the young lady. I appreciate the patience, because we had a difficult time getting her to say that she wanted to go to the hospital, and the persistence. So 988 is a great resource. I hate that I had to use it, but I'm glad that it was there. As well as for you all in the community, if you're interfacing with people, I'm seeing a lot of spaces where I am unable. Housing is probably the biggest challenge that our office is seeing right now, just getting people a place to stay. 211 is another resource, right? So 211, you can call there. That's a resource for anything. That means that's housing, that's food, that's all the things. That's all the things and everything in between. On top of that, what I will say is our office is just started a new program. Like, we are trialing this program with the state. Like, I think I may have said this on another one, but I begged them to allow us to get inside for a new resource program that's connecting resources across the Commonwealth. So you can even reach out to our office. If you go to delegatejackieglass.com and the comment page, we can enter you into this resource hub that connects. Like, it eliminates me as the middle person. I just become a convener to connect you to the resource, and the resource will reach out to you directly. It's called Unite Us. I'm really excited about it. Our office has just started using it, and it seems like it's going to be a good tool for us. So if you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody that needs childcare, that just has an all around basic needs, right? We're talking about basic needs. Like, we're here for that. But you just got to give us the chance. And so that's why we do these in the morning. For some of you new certified doers that are coming on here with us, why I do this in the morning is to ensure that you have a clarity on what to expect from your state elected, right? I do interface with people that just like, I don't know what you do. So like, yes, I can help with, we are doing a lot of rights restoration right now, a lot of follow up on folks' rights restoration. The prison system right now, we're getting a lot of letters from people, inmates that are talking about the conditions within the behind the wall. And that's a state entity. The Department of Corrections is a Virginia state entity, and we can interface. So if you have, let's say you do have a loved one that is behind the wall, our office can reach out to the Department of Corrections and check on them and ask for and get a full update. It is very slow moving with rights restorations right now. And then I've got a lot of complaints about water bills and gas. I know, yes, water and gas bills have been the two chief complaints that we've had to interface with utilities about. So just know that we're here for that. That is a huge piece of it. Walking into, and then you all, we've got about 10 more minutes here. So if you've got questions, comments, concerns, do not hesitate to drop them in the comments, or drop them wherever. If you're on Instagram here, if you're on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, all the other places. If you're on any of those other places, you can drop them in the comments as well. Yeah, there is some need. Elizabeth Clapton said prison reform. There's some needs. I'm deeply concerned by the number of emails that I'm getting from people about their loved ones that are incarcerated. And I am troubled again by the fact that we're having all these hoops being jumped through to get people their rights back to vote. Yes. with that being said, if you are in the Commonwealth of Virginia, do y'all know we about to roll into voting season? Like for real, we about to roll into voting season. So I'm asking everybody, like I'm asking you and I'm asking you, I'm asking y'all to be day ones with me, right? Now I'm saying this with a caveat. I'm saying day one with a caveat. My day ones know on 922. See, I talked about calling 988. They know on 922 that we're going to go ahead and knock this voting thing out. And if we're not knocking it out on 922, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and request that absentee ballot and get it mailed to our house, knock it out. And then on November 7th, you're going to sign up and you're going to work with me to be a poll greeter. That's what certifier doers are going to do. That's what we're doing. I'm just saying it off top. That's what we're doing. And it's going to be a good time. It's going to be a good time. There's a lot at stake. Somebody put in the comments earlier about education. I remember, and I haven't seen you in so long, Cheryl Berry, like put in the comments about education. All of those things are going to be at the table as we work through this surplus, right? Like we're trying to, somebody said, don't we got extra money? Yes, we do have a surplus. And once I get to hopefully I get to read the budget this Saturday or this over the weekend. I'm sure that's probably what's going to happen over the weekend. I'll be digging into the amendments, just making sure things are whole, making sure what we expect is there, because that's a big deal. That's my thing is don't expect what you don't inspect. So you got to inspect some shit to make, you have to expect some things to make sure that what you expect is present. And we trust, but we verify. So yes, I will get a briefing from folks that sit on the same side of the aisle with me. I trust it, but I'm also going to have to go verify, right? Because that is the kind of work that we do. Don't forget, if you got questions, drop them in the comments. Do not hesitate. We've got about 5 more minutes. If you got community events and things going on, go ahead and drop them in the comments as well. I suspect that I want to make sure I throw this out there. If you are creative, mark your calendar for January 23rd. In Richmond, we are going to have our Creatives Lobby Day, January 23rd. We call it Creatives on the Capitol. I am working on the legislation that we will be bringing forth on behalf of creators to make Virginia a space where creators can grow and thrive and be in the industries, the respective industries. So if you want to get plugged in, sign up for our updates on delegatejackieglass.com. Sign up for it because I'm going to be giving updates. Also, you can go follow Creatives for VA. There's a woman who helped us plan Creatives on the Capitol last year that started an organization called Creatives for VA. Shout out to Kina. And she's trying to grow and build that. They just launched their website yesterday. So it is going to be, it's going to be dope. Okay. If you weren't there last time, you got to check out the reels. Cause I just was like, it was dope. We showed up, and there has been a lot of interest about the work that we are trying and will be doing for creatives this next session. What else? Day ones. I mentioned day ones. I want y'all to vote on September 22nd. I want you let's go knock it out. And then let's kick it at the polls on election day. Let people know they need to go ahead and cast that vote for me. for me. And I will get beat up if I don't say this. One of the toughest things or the hardest things for me to do as a newly elected official. I've been on the job for 18 months thereabouts. And, no money, no mission. So I'm always asking, I don't care if you could give $1. I would appreciate it if there's anything that you can give to us to improve or to keep doing our mission. I have made it a point I don't have interns unless I hire them. So this summer I have a fellow. This summer I have an intern that that I have put on my payroll. And again, 100% what I'm able to do is based off of donations. We've started our customer service ticketing system so that we can operate more like a business. So when you come in, we can actually get you a ticket number. That is coming at a cost. It's significant. It's not significant, but it's enough to say if I don't bring in, then I know we won't be able to continue having this system. Our goal, my fundraising goal, what's in it is I want to hire one more person. So I want to hire another another person to help with some of the work that we have. And then I have a mailer I want to get out. My goal is to raise, and I know this is a big goal. My goal is to raise $50,000 within the next month and maybe 70 before the end of the year. And for a candidate like me, that's enough to sustain us all the way through the middle of next year, and we can get back to work. If you are interested in hosting us, like, having some of your people come to the house and doing like a micro fundraiser, like, we appreciate it. That would be dope. If you're interested in, helping us do aspects, because I believe human capital is also capital. So when you're able to join in with us and help us do certain things, like I have a young lady that is a student at one of the respective universities that just wants to help me pull resources in for a particular piece of legislation that she's interested in. And I'm like, that's cool. That's dope. Let's get it. So it allows, I value people's work, but I also, if I can pay them, I want to pay them for the work that they're doing for us. This is a part-time job with full-time problems. I make sure that I let people know, just for your situational awareness, I'm about to be on my third part-time job. Hopefully I get this other part-time job. I'll be working 3 part-time jobs: part-time delegate, part-time producer. Shout out to my partner in crime. We're working on the Truth Be Told series through a grant from the Virginia African American Culture Center and the Department of Tourism. So I love working on that. And then I'm looking for another opportunity. We make $17,604 a year doing this. It's a part-time job with full-time problems. I do it because I love you. Even if you don't like me, I will love to resource you to be helpful. So if I close with anything, I will say the 2 resources I need you guys to have in your back pocket is 988 in case there's a mental health crisis, and 211 for all the things in between. If you feel lost in the sauce, then go ahead and just reach out to our office. You can go to delegatejackieglass.com, reach out to our office, and we will do our very best to be of service. Y'all got that? Those are easy things. And 911, if it's midnight and it's an emergency, please don't call me. Don't call 211. Maybe call 988. But call the police. Just messing. We'll do our best. Even if you call, I may not be able to answer, but if you got an emergency, you know where to go. All right. Right. This is the morning dew for certified doers, just like you. I appreciate you, Elizabeth. This is why I work for you always. Yeah. It's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing and a curse. I will see y'all next week. If you don't know, if you're a parent of a Norfolk Public Schools individual, and I'm not sure if the other schools, tomorrow is a day off school. I just regret to inform you. So is Monday. So happy 4-day weekend with your little citizens. Ask better questions. Don't ask how was your day. Ask them to rate their day on a scale of 1 to 10, right? And what you can do to prove it. Ask them what went well. What could make your day better? What made it worse? If you could pull one thing, we do. We got to get better at that. And I'm going to encourage everyone with a young person to read Feeding the Mouth That Bites You. That's my last suggestion. It is saving my life over here. Until next time, be well. I'm Jackie Glass, Mama, Navy vet, certified doer, and the laced up legislator for the House of Delegates 89th District. If you got some sneakers you want to recommend to me, I'm looking for my next session sneakers. I'm trying to figure out what kind of heat we going to bring. So that too, right? Make some sneaker recommendations. I got to post my shoes more, I guess, for you to know what I got and what I don't got. All right. Peace. Take care, y'all.